I hope you have nightmares about me.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Any Last Words. As always, I'm your host, Joe. And this evening, I have a very special guest. I have Ricky Glore, a stand-up comedian and filmmaker. And this evening, we're going to be talking about your Kickstarter and your currently in production film called All Your Friends Are Dead.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to discuss all things dead. We still just have a few more days left in the Kickstarter. We luckily have reached our minimum goal, but a hardship of reaching your minimum goal is then convincing others that there is more of a goal that you would like to reach. So it's like it's very nice and very congratulatory of being like, oh, you met your goal. Our goal is $5,000 because this is incredibly low budget indie film, and we have spent the co-director and I, Nicholas Hyance, spent the majority of what budget we have had out of our own pockets. So when looking towards the expenses of post-production and wanting to get it wrapped up and done as well as possible, areas where we have zero expertise as far as like score, sound mixing, really good color grading. Like we could do some minimal color grading, but to get everything unified and looking the best that it can and getting it in a quicker way completed to then start shopping around and submit to festivals and getting it in front of some eyeballs. We just need that post-production money to make that happen. And one of the things that we've offered that we still have available is a limited numbered edition run of a Blu-ray for the movie. And as much as a carnival barker or salesman I'm going to sound like now, I'm being sincere when I say I would get the Blu-ray because that means you get all the perks involved, and it's the only way to guarantee that you're going to get to see this movie by October of 2022.
Oh, okay. And
we only have 61 copies of that left. And it's going to have an exclusive commentary track that's not going to appear on anything. Even if our film were to get bought or distributed, say on like Shudder or another distribution releases a Blu-ray, the commentary on this one will only be on this one. And the reason why I say also you can only see the movie if you get this Blu-ray by October 2022 is, again, who knows how long it's going to take to be put in front of other people's eyes or be released, because obviously our goal is for it to get bought. So then we could get finances to then make another movie.
Right. So like the 5,000 is like, yeah, you did it, but it's like not good enough. We need more. We need to do more shit. Not good enough.
Yeah. We're like,
get it.
We're like a happy parent that our kids started like doing mathlete, but like we want to see some medals. Like it's good that you're dipping your toe into it. Now let's really swim.
Like participation trophies not good enough.
Exactly. It's just, it is hard because a lot of if anybody knows anything about Kickstarter, unless you're working with an IP of like a fan film or something, or you already have a built-in fan base, most of donations are from family and friends. Luckily with the horror community, we've been really lucky to say about half of our contributions have been from people who've listened to different podcast interviews I've done, or who are just genuinely interested in seeing indie horror because they're kind of tired of the reboots and remakes or some of the mainstream horror that's being presented to them right now.
Absolutely. That is one of my biggest gripes. And that is one of the main reasons why I started doing like interviews with people in indie horror is, number one, the community is just amazing. It is just amazing. Everybody just helps each other, teamwork makes the dream work kind of feel. And I am tired of seeing like the remakes, the reboots, the reimaginings. I mean, not that all of them are bad, because there are, a lot of them that are pretty good, but it's just like, why did you mess that up? Like, it was horrible the first time it came out. Why did you ruin that more?
I feel I've said this a lot on different interviews, and I'm sure I've rubbed some feathers wrong in the horror community, but I'm also tired of seeing indie filmmakers doing fan films and those getting like, I get doing a parody or a fan film, because I myself did a parody of a musical live on stage in Chicago, and that's kind of how I got my notoriety, which was doing A Nightmare on Backstreet, a boy band musical parody. And that's because I didn't have the access to do an original musical yet, and then I eventually did when I was able to connect with some musicians who are more talented in that field than I am. But the fans that do like the Friday the 13th fan films, and I know everyone's like Never Hike in the Snow or Never Hike Alone are like the best Friday the 13th movies, even though they're fan films. Like, they raised a bunch of money for something that can really not be mass distributed or shown to a lot of people or make money to then further other ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like you were saying, like, you're tired of the remake and the reboots, regardless if they're okay or not. You'd like to see original. And I think a lot of horror fans say that, but then they're the first ones to be like, oh shit, look at this Michael Myers fan film that I found.
I am not that person. I'll tell you that right now. I am not that person. I want to see something original and creative because there are so many original and creative stories out there. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, either people are just too worried that, you know, it's not going to be good enough, or they're not going to get the backing, or whatever. I don't know, but we need more of that. So
I've seen such an influx of, like, and this is within, probably since like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, so quite a while, about 20 years. Scooby-Doo parodies. Like, so many Scooby-Doo parodies where they're like, oh, what if Scooby-Doo was adult? Or like, I'm just like, yeah, okay. But are you picking that because the IP you think is good? People are so fixated on brand and marketing. Now I just sound like a curmudgeon. I should just be excitedly be talking about how much I love horror and why I want to do horror. But I find it interesting that people also then in the horror community bitch about new and original horror when it's like, no, like, give it a chance. Like, this is what we want to see. That's like the 80s horror boom. They may have been a lot of ripoffs of Halloween, Black Christmas, Friday the 13th, and they might have run their courses in the 80s and been redundant, and it was just the same thing. But then if you didn't have kind of those genre movies, you wouldn't have gotten things like Sleepaway Camp, which for my money is better than anything in the Friday the 13th series. Regardless of the twist reveal.
Okay, so tell us what your film is about. It's called All Your Friends Are Dead. It
is about what if the teen slasher movie grew up, and by that I mean, what if Breakfast Club became the Big Chill and went camping in a Friday the 13th movie, which means, what if one day you were 35 years old and in high school you were king shit of Turd Mountain? You had the closest group of friends, and you kind of reached your peak, kind of reached your zenith in high school, and you're 35 and you're a drunk, you're an alcoholic depressive who feels that your best years are behind you. And so that's our lead character. And he looks back at his kind of estranged Breakfast Club, like, eclectic group of friends, and he's like, man, we really lost touch. He's like, I haven't reached out to them, they haven't reached out to me, but like, my life is kind of meaningless, and everyone I meet that remembers me from school is so surprised to see my station in life currently. The weight gain, just the looks, the status, and the lead character experiences all of that. It's kind of like a snowball effect of 3 days in a row of just getting hit on the head time after time with all these memories of what the hell happened to you, that he eventually realizes that he probably has nothing to live for, and so he's going to make the drastic decision to end his life.
Damn.
And by
that
doing
escalated
that,
quickly.
Well, and like, hopefully we show in the opening that this is something that is snowballing, and like I said, because of the alcoholism, the pain med dependency, and the depression, the unattended, you know, he's not done nothing for his mental health. That's where he turns to, and he sends kind of a suicide email to his Breakfast Club group of friends saying, hey, I feel like the best of my years are behind me. Hopefully you all are in a much better place than I am. I'm going to end my life, and I'm going to do it at the campsite where we last all hung out the summer of senior year after graduation. And so he goes to do that, and unbeknownst to him, his friends show up and stop him moments before he ends his life. And they want to show him that he does have a life worth living, that, you know, not everybody's life turns out the way it is. You shouldn't feel societal pressures of things that you should accomplish by a certain age. Everybody's different and blah, blah, blah. Everybody has something to live for. Well, while they're having that sort of intervention, there is a masked homicidal maniac who's escaped a mental hospital who is watching them in the woods, ready to pick them off one by one.
Damn creepers.
So the lead character is really confronted with, well, do I want to die? Because if I do really want to die, this guy with the machete or chainsaw or hunting knife will probably take care of it for me. And the lead character has to watch all of his friends get killed in front of him. And that's why, I mean, I don't feel that it's a spoiler because the title's called All Your Friends Are Dead.
Okay, makes sense. Sounds legit.
But again, that is another way we approached the movie from behind the scenes. Was the story is, I love the endings of like Friday the 13th movies where the last 20 to 15 minutes are action packed, a lot of kills, a lot of gore, and it really roller coasters up. And I was like, oh, I wonder what if you did that in the middle of the movie instead. And then the audience would think that they've gotten to the end, but really there's another third act that kind of ratchets it up even more. And so what I just described happens more or less in the middle of the movie, and there's still a third act that you don't see coming or isn't ruined by the title.
Oh, total plot twist.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, there's a twist, but it makes sense. Like once you see the whole, once you bake the whole cake and take a step back, you're like, oh, yep, that's what it was the whole time.
So since you're a stand-up comedian, did you put comedic elements in this at all, or?
Yes, there's dark humor. There's nothing making fun of the idea of depression or mental health. That's a very fine line to walk, and we wanted to make sure that we weren't making a mockery of that, because you know, there's a lot of modes of thinking that suicide is a coward's way out or blah blah blah, and I don't think that. I think depression is a disease, and sometimes the disease wins. But so having comedy, having horror, and having kind of this emotional surge that's in the movie, it was not tough, but we wanted to make sure that it was balanced, and it didn't feel like we were giving a short shrift to the depression, or we weren't giving a short shrift to the horror. And then with the comedy and that, it's like, okay, well, we got to make sure that we're not saying that people with depression are punching bags.
Right.
But I would classify it as black comedy and dark comedy. Really humor coming kind of out of awkward, earnest moments that happen.
Okay. Well, that's actually kind of, you have like the rest of this month that you're aiming to get this completed, right? The funding. That's kind of like, I don't know if you meant to do it, but it's kind of like how would you say it? Probably saying this wrong, like a weird parallel, because this is because this is suicide awareness. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. So, I like that. Make it think a little bit.
We didn't do it on purpose, but I did recognize that when we launched the campaign. And that has been interesting, because when I recognized that at the beginning of September, I was like, oh, should we advertise that the movie deals with these things? But then I also didn't want to get pegged for kind of writing the back of like, hey, here's this super serious thing that needs attention and to be talked about and contribute to our movie. Like,
right.
It was weird. Like, there's so much of that online, you know, especially when like celebrities die or whatever. Just the other day, I mean, this will be airing later, but Norm Macdonald passed away.
Yeah.
And he was a hero of mine who I actually have had some interactions with. And it was weird. It was cathartic for me to write a post sharing my memory of him. But also there was that part of my brain that was just like, oh, could this be viewed by some as something that someone's doing for likes?
Like piggybacking off of it, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. And it was weird. It was interesting to think of that because there's a duality between, I think, the internet and social media, where some people just post without care and don't think of anything. And then some people who are always looking for like, well, why are you doing that? Well, why are you saying that? Like, that's a marketing
cherry
thing,
picking.
Yeah, that's a brand thing.
Yeah.
So that's off topic. But yeah, the Suicide Awareness Month was definitely something that I was like, oh, what a coincidence.
Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of popped in my head, and I was like as you were talking more about the film, I was just like, oh, that's kind of goinky dinky. So I'm not saying I hate it. I'm just like, hey, that's pretty cool. So sorry, I have ADHD, so I totally lost the next thing I had in my brain.
Me too. I will chase rabbits for days.
You what? I'm sorry?
I will chase rabbits.
Oh, I always say squirrel or popcorn.
I like popcorn.
My therapist came up with popcorn because she has ADHD too, and she goes, I guess her husband came up with it. I'll edit this out, but but she said that like she'll talk about one thing, and then like she does the whole squirrel thing where like she totally clicks into something else real quick, or she loses focus, and her husband calls it popcorn, like a kernel popping into popcorn, a pop 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 everywhere.
Well, mine, I say chasing rabbits just because I will get sidetracked, or I'll connect thoughts, and I'll just keep on connecting thoughts, and it'll just keep on going, getting farther and farther away from the thought that I've had.
And then you forget what you were talking about in the first place, and it takes you a minute to like circle back around, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. How the hell did I get all the way over here?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's great because it keeps the conversation going sometimes. So
and that's for a lot of interviews. I will start by saying like, hey, look, you might interview some people and it's like pulling water from a stone to get them to talk, or to incentivize them to keep going. Like me, I was like, I sometimes will just take it over and just keep going. So if you ever need me to shut up, like just cut me off.
I'm the same way sometimes, and I know what you mean about like pulling the water out of stone deal, because I try really hard to make sure that I line up my questions. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna be brave and not write these questions down today, and I'm gonna remember them. And then I'm like, why the fuck didn't I write that down?
What did I want to ask about dogs?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, because this one's kind of hard. What did I do? What do I do? Popcorn.
Kettle corn.
Kettle corn. Ooh, that sounds good right now. It's almost Christmas. Anyway, I'm gonna stop now. Sorry. I will go. Yes. Popcorn back in the bucket.
Okay. Were you able to watch either of the short films?
I didn't, but I did watch the Kickstarter.
Cool.
What do you guys call those? They're not really trailers, or they're just ads, or
it's a campaign video where we put in the teaser. Like if you go to the YouTube page that we put together, we broke them up just in case, if someone just wanted to watch a teaser, if someone just wanted to watch a campaign video. And then we were like, oh, this would be nice for the Kickstarter page if we just put the two in there and you kind of get the teaser trailer right off the bat. And that was done with all the camping footage we had filmed with the lead character and the group of friends. Since then, we have recorded a few other weeks into some fun locations, and those are put on the updates of the Kickstarter page. And actually, we have tonight we're filming, and then 2 nights next week, which is one of the main kills. And then we only have maybe 1 or 2 more days and principal photography is done. So we're very close. So I know that's hard too with Kickstarters and any kind of project. People are worried that they'll contribute and the thing will never see the light of day. That's why it was important for us to put together a teaser trailer of being like, hey, look, like we are actually working on this. This is already like halfway done. We just need you to help us get us across the finish line.
I gotcha. And I remembered what I wanted to talk about. So You still got a little bit left to go. And like I said, I did watch the campaign trailer. The quality looks really, really good for only $5,000. Like, and I know that in the description it talks about like the special effects and the people who work on it and everything. It looks really good for low budget. Like, just like the film quality, everything. It looks really good.
Yeah, we have less of a budget than your like everyday porn movie. So for it to look as good as it does, and a lot of that has to do with Nick Hines, who is the DP and co-director, really playing well. Well, we were patting ourselves on the back. We were smart how we constructed the story. Him and I have made short films and have filmed different things off and on since we were seniors in high school together.
Okay.
And it got to the point where we were like, you know what? We're both 35. We're both married. Not that that's like a goal to have, but there are those like societal pressures I was talking about earlier that it's like, well, what have you accomplished by 35? And we were talking about it and we're like, we feel like we're good where we're at creatively and artistically. If 15 years from now, we look back and we didn't try to make a feature movie, then we would regret that. And so we looked at what we have and like, there's tons of like doubts of like, well, we don't have the equipment. We don't have enough of this. We wouldn't have enough budget. How would we get this? And I was like, man, let's just push all that aside. Let's come up with a story that we really like, that we actually think we can execute. Let's go the Kevin Smith way, right? Like he had a convenience store, so he made Clerks. We're like, what do we have that we 100% know we can use and use well narratively in the story? And we did that. And so one of the short films I made, Call, we had filmed in this farm area where if you did a 360, all you can see is woods. You're surrounded by woods. And even though a lot of horror movies are set at night, we knew if you did a lot of night stuff, that is hard to light. That is hard to make it look super good. You need more crew, you need more equipment. And with COVID times and pandemic, you have to be mindful of kind of your crew size as well. So we knew we had these woods and we're like, okay, when we're filming kind of the end of July, beginning of August, certain times of the day, the way that the trees cover it and the branches and whatnot, the sun's going to come through in some really cool ways, some really cool rays. And it's going to look like we've lit things really well, where all we'll have to use is some deflectors and stuff. This is nerdy tech talk, but like we'll have to use some diffusers for lenses and stuff and some deflectors, but we can make it look like we're lighting these scenes that look really well. And so filming a lot of it during the day helped us out, especially when you have a low budget. Not filming as many interiors, filming a lot of exteriors. There's just some things you can do that can help yourself out as a filmmaker that normally would be a deterrent to be like, well, no, I can't do it. If I can't have $500,000 or whatever, or $1 million to make my movie, then I won't make it. And it's like, no, all you have to have is a story and a cell phone. Because really, the last short film I did on my iPhone 11 with some attachments from Moondog Labs, and it turned out pretty well. For this movie, we're not using an iPhone, but it's people always complain about not having the proper equipment, and I think that is just an excuse that is probably more deep rooted of a fear of failing or putting together something that's not great. Oh, I was gonna say you're saying how it looked good. The crew. I would be remiss in not mentioning that our special effects and makeup team have a ton of notable credits in the genre, like Haunt, which is a fantastic horror movie that I think you can stream on Amazon. It's written by the guys who wrote A Quiet Place.
Okay.
Candy Corn, which is a gruesome kind of cult horror movie. On Location, which I think is now being named Terror Trips, which comes out next year with Felicia Rose from Sleepaway Camp, Hannah Fearman from VHS, and a bunch of other horror movies. That movie's really cool. The plot's about what if a tour group that goes to a bunch of horror movie locations ends up getting attacked at one of them
Oh.
by someone. I can't talk about too much of it because it's not out yet. But our special effects team has these great credits that they're able to then, because I've built up a relationship with them working on the short films. They saw the project that we were doing, and luckily we're like, okay, we can take a fee cut because we want to see this come to life, and we know you don't necessarily have the biggest budget, but they respect that everyone is getting paid for their time, maybe not their full, real fees that they would get on a bigger project, but everyone at least is getting compensated.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Because a lot of people are like, no, I won't do it unless you can pay me what I want.
What's my craft services like?
Yes, I don't want just macaroni and cheese out of the cup and hot dogs. I mean, like, I want legit shit. No Costco pizzas.
Oh, those are the best. No,
I do
weirdly,
like Costco pizzas.
weirdly, our craft services were a ton of vegetables because I was like, this is nice. Like when we're filming outside and stuff, and I had vegetables and a bunch of this is such a weird one, Werther's Originals.
Ooh, I like those. Those are good.
It was
I'm
such
not
just
gonna lie.
a random sugary thing to have, and of course we had water and some other little hand food and stuff here and there. But the Werther's Originals were the ones that were everyone kind of mocked at first, calling it old people candy, and then a half an hour into shooting, being like, "Oh, these are good."
It's like, can you guys stop eating? I can hear you guys over the mic. It's not turn your phones off. It's stop unwrapping your candies. I can hear that shit on the mic.
Quit sucking your candies.
Yeah, rolling around, hitting teeth.
Aw.
I love old people candy. It's great, and it lasts a long time. So, if it just
does.
sits in your purse for a while, it's cool. Later on in a month, a month or two, it's still there. It's still good.
Yeah. Even when the old person is long and gone, that candy is still there.
I love it. I love it. That is nice. You didn't have to worry about keeping anything hot, anything like that. Just I got candy and I got some veggies.
Well, and that's the thing is especially when you're filming outside at the end of summer, shit can turn real quick, and that is gross. we did have a couple pizza days, and that was definitely a highlight for a lot of people working on the movie. One guy, one of the actors, Patrick Johnson, who plays Greg, wasn't there shooting for one of the days we had pizza, and then he found out from one of the other actors for a day that he came, and he's like, are we gonna have pizza today? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I heard you guys had pizza yesterday. I was like, all right, we can get you some pizza.
I would have puled some Werther's out of my pocket and been like, I got this.
It's so fun because it is going even though we filmed a movie that involved camping, it is going to summer camp as a kid. Everyone kind of reverts back to that kid mentality, and we're all just having fun playing cowboys and Indians, just imagining.
So in what you've made so far already of this film, what can you say has been the most difficult thing to accomplish? Besides funding.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not even because you did pretty well.
Because we're doing it. We're still filming this stuff. I would say the hardest part is really executing, making sure that certain scenes are scary and done well enough that when we're in editing, it's not going to have to take a lot of fixing in post. That it's going to be we strived for, and I believe it's going to be 95% of the special effects are going to be practical effects. There's only going to be 5%, a couple CG touch-ups here and there, which, being someone who grew up on practicals I love when something looks fake. I'd rather it look fake practically, something I can tangibly touch, than rather it be fake computer generated.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I've said that a million times. I love practical. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is a place for, the CGI and all that other stuff, but only when it really should be necessary, and just don't overwash it onto everything, because then it just looks horrible. It's just why? For what? What did you spend all that money on?
And that's
You
like
could have bought pizza and Werther's.
the two areas that I know we're going to add some CG to. My other methodology is if you're going to do CG, do it with practical. So it's not just the CG. There are practical things happening, and the CG is just a very small part that you absolutely need that for, but you're not so distracted because there is all of this other real these real things going on that you can touch and feel and like get a sense of. Like, I feel like a lot of times in movies, especially horror, you get a visceral feeling where you start smelling the situation, you start like feeling what it's like to be in their shoes, because some of the best horror is relatable. So I feel like that's why we're so irked out by like nails being removed or like teeth being removed, because we've all have been in like the dentist, or we've all like chipped your nail or something, like, or have lost a toenail or something, and it's ugh.
I'm starting to think of like popsicle. I don't know why that my thing, people like they don't like nails on a chalkboard like that. That doesn't bother me. It's popsicle sticks scraping your teeth. I was like,
you saying that, like, it's not a thing that I have, but like I felt like a tingle in my teeth.
Yes, like right at the tips of your teeth. It's like, ugh. So anytime somebody talks about like teeth stuff, that's instantly the first thing I think of. It's popsicle stick, and it makes me want to talk like that too, because like the tingling sensation that I'm feeling when I'm talking about it's like, nah.
I'm the same way, and you could never do anything with horror. It's just a weird idiosyncrasy of touching fingertips, like just the tips of your fingers to fabric or like cloth. Just I don't know, just like lightly touching, not like grabbing or whatever. Just like the weird touch of like the tip of like a blanket or something. I don't know what it is. Like as soon as you take it out like the laundry and like you touch it and it's like fluffy, it just gives me like a weird kind of like your popsicle teeth thing.
Ugh. Damn, like sensories.
Maybe it's an ADHD thing.
Maybe, I don't know. It's always that, and it's popsicle sticks, and then when my God, Pet Sematary.
Oh yeah.
Gauge slices behind Judge's Achilles tendons. Achilles heel, whatever it's called.
Achilles heel, yeah. I think it's
that gets me every time in a movie. Like I just like, again, even just thinking about it, I'm like squinching my toes in and I'm like curling my feet just thinking about that. Like,
it's the same. One of my favorites is, and it doesn't get enough credit, is Psycho 2. I don't know if you remember when Norman's being backed up the stairs by Vera Miles' daughter in the movie with the knife, and he's like, no, stop, no, and he keeps on reaching like this to get her to put the knife down, but he just keeps on dragging his hands across the top, across the blade of the knife, and you just see his hands are just getting mutilated. They're just getting cut, but he's being very calm, and you just see the blood dripping from his hands. He's like, no, put the knife down, no, stop. Oh, every time I'm just like,
now I'm gonna think of that.
There's plenty of things like that in if you've not seen David Cronenberg's son, which I feel bad that I don't know his name. I have to refer to him as David Cronenberg's son. Movie he released last year called Possessor.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's on Hulu. I would describe it as a fucked up Inception.
Oh. Inception was pretty good.
It's good, and this is very good too. And this is he's definitely a student of his dad. There is definitely some Cronenbergian body horror elements, and I don't know. It's horrifying. I don't know if it's a horror movie. It's definitely like a mystery thriller. But there's some very, very grisly violence, but there is also some of that stuff that you just see and you're just like,
Hey, now I'm all squingily from my teeth to my toes. I gotta go check that movie out because I do have Hulu, but I always mix up like what's on what because there's so many different platforms to watch things from: Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Shudder.
They don't make it easy to kind of go, like, I feel like there should be an easier way to Google. I mean, I know you can Google and be like, is this blah, blah, blah streaming anywhere? And like stuff will appear, but then it'll be like premium subscription or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know if I have premium subscription. There should be like a thing that you can go to that it has like an IMDb, like on IMDb, that should be a thing they have. If you look up a movie, it should say if it's on a streaming platform under its basic package or not.
That's a good idea. Trademark. Yeah. You trademarked that right now.
I'll trademark a thing that like exists and tell them to do it.
There you go. You heard it here first, guys. So there's going to be a lot of practical effects, not CGI when it's necessary, basically.
There's 2 moments where it's going to be added where there already are practical effects. We haven't edited those scenes yet. I just know from seeing it and being on set. I'm like, oh, we're gonna have to add like a little bit something there.
Okay, it like I said, it looks from the campaign trailer, it looks really good. Like I was just like, damn, really? Okay, like this is.
It looks so good. Movie. You want to give it some more money?
Yes, exactly. Because we need to make this like. I mean, I don't know how you can make it look any cooler, but we need to make it look cooler, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing that always makes it look cooler is weirdly sound. Like nothing fully pulls together until you have that score that's, you know, underplaying a scene and stuff and really helping the viewer. I'm not a fan of jump scare like stings telling you like when things are scary, but I think obviously a well-placed score can kind of just be another way to bring you into what's happening and really feel the mood and the tone.
Oh yeah, that's I love it when it goes when it's not jump scare, but when it starts way before it's gonna happen, not like right when it's about to happen kind of deal. Like it just kind of like it builds, it kind of lingers and builds and builds and builds instead of just like, oh, it's going to happen in like 10 seconds. So we get a little bit of music real quick. Like,
yeah.
Oh, you know, something's going to happen any minute now because the music started like, you know, very predictable in that way.
I feel like the movies that are the biggest culprits of that right now. And again, it's not me trashing the movies. Like some smarter horror films are subverting your expectations. Well, they'll start doing that and the character will be going to the door, the closet, and like the music's building and then it's like and it happens. There are some filmmakers who subvert your expectations and it doesn't happen and then it's something else, or it doesn't happen at all and it never gives the audience that release of that tension and they hold it for a while until like another scene, which is fantastic. But then I feel like the Annabelle movies and the Conjuring movies, I feel like they are still proprietors of like doing it and then like it happening the exact way that you're expecting it to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but it just, I don't like it too much. I get it.
It feels like horror. It feels like horror movies for dummies or like horror movie 101. It's like
it's the starter movies for the people who aren't quite used to it yet. It's like, okay, we're gonna wing you into this. So when you hear the music, just give it a minute and you're gonna get scared, okay? So.
Weirdly, when my wife and I were celebrating our anniversary and we went and saw we were out of town for the weekend and we saw this local movie theater and it was when Happy Death Day came out. And I liked a lot about I feel like I'm just talking about things I don't like in horror still, being such a pessimist. But I liked Happy Death Day. When I left the movie, I was like, something's missing for me from loving it. And I don't know what it is. And then I saw the poster and saw that it was PG-13. And I was like, I weirdly think that's what it was. That is what I just am like, I'm a grown-ass man. I need to see my horror. But that's not to say that like, some really good horror movies, you don't need blood and you don't need them to be R. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an R, but you don't hardly see any blood. It's about what you don't see. And it's the tension they build really well. But Happy Death Day, I felt like I was missing something. And then a couple weeks ago, my wife and I, we watched Freaky. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
Because it was like a remake of Freaky Friday, and like it reminded me of
it was.
that Rob Schneider one too, where the hot chick. It reminded me of Hot Chick. Yeah, I was like, come on, guys, damn it.
There were moments that I agree that like, okay, I had super low expectations for it because my brother, who I watch horror movies or we talk about horror movies a lot, he had seen it and I hadn't. And he said, I don't like it. He's like, I thought it was dumb and blah, 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 blah. I think kind of the same way where you're at. Like, I've seen a lot of these tropes done and like him as a girl and being like, boo, I have boobies. Like, what's down here in my pants? Like, it's like, yes, that's the hot chick. Like, oh, I've got a penis. I agree. I went in with super low expectations, and that first 10 minutes, like those death scenes, the first one in particular, do you remember the wine bottle being shoved in the kid's mouth down his throat, and then he busted the wine bottle in his throat and the shards came out? I was like, holy shit. Like, because I knew it was made by the same people who did Happy Death Day, and I was like, oh, this movie's rated R. I'm like, okay. And like, even if it's
what
dumb,
we were missing.
yeah, even if it's dumb and tropey or whatever, like it even did that thing like when spoilers, if you haven't seen Happy Death Day and you don't want to hear about this, like
that's on y'all. If you hadn't seen it by now, that's on y'all.
Sorry, Freaky, not Happy Death Day, Freaky. It's on, I think, HBO Max. But skip like a minute or 30 seconds. When Vince Vaughn as the girl is sitting in the back of the car with the boy she's been crushing on, and it's like, oh, they're gonna make us think that they're gonna kiss, and this is gonna be played as a big homophobic joke. And I was like, man, movie, like, come on. You know what would be really great is if they just fucking made out right now. And they did. And I was like, thank you. Vince Vaughn and that kid are just like kissing, and like the guy, the boyfriend, well, he becomes the boyfriend, doesn't make like a homophobic joke to get out of the situation. He just says later that he prefers kissing her, like when they kiss and she's back to being in her own body. He's like, oh, I prefer that more than the kiss before. Like, it's not played as like, oh, I can't believe you kissed a dude. And I'm like, good on you, movie. Good on you. Yeah. Good on you, Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to rewatch it. Maybe I can appreciate it in a different way. I just watched it and I was just like, I see hot chicks and I see Freaky Friday. But yes, there were, you know, like the kill scenes. I did like the kill scenes in it because they were different.
Yeah.
It was more creative, but it's just the whole movie. I was mad. I spent $20 to rent it, and then it turned around and came out on fucking HBO Max.
Well, okay.
I think that's what I'm really burnt about.
Yes, you and I would have been in the same. Like, I would have been in the same situation of like. There are definitely movies where I have paid a certain amount, or I have a certain expectation, or just whatever, and then I'm just like shitty the whole time, and I'm just like, no, I
paid for this shit.
Yeah, but like again, like I would not recommend Freaky the same way I would recommend Possessor. Like Possessor, I was like, oh, that was a really interesting movie, a lot of artistically like well-made movie with definitely a vision. Freaky, I was like, okay, this is a popcorn flick, but at least a rated R popcorn flick, like for a general mass. Like, I would recommend Freaky over like Annabelle Creation or something.
Yeah, you know what? I will agree with you on that, honestly. I will. Because the Annabelle movie started really getting to me after a minute. I'm like, okay.
I was like, if you want to make a Chucky movie, make a Chucky movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this is we already know what Annabelle's about. We can stop now, guys. It's
and as much as like I'm being critical of these other properties while I'm just making an indie movie myself, like, let it be known, I love it all. Like, I have guilty pleasures for some of awful horror movies. Like, I love some schlock of like the 70s and 80s, like some of the trauma films, like Graduation Day. If you've never seen that,
that's a throwback right there.
Check it out, man. You want to see Scream is clearly very inundated in Halloween. Like, it's a lot of callbacks to Halloween, and Graduation Day is very throwbacky to, or sorry, Graduation Day is definitely influenced I Know What You Did Last Summer. There's some stuff in that I was just like, oh, okay, this is where Kevin Williams, because Kevin Williamson did I Know What You Did Last Summer as well. I'm like, I love seeing where the inspiration came from in some of our modern horror, where there's also a weird difference between, in my opinion, between homage and ripping off, where sometimes some current things like the opening of Fear Street was just a ripoff of Scream, but luckily that thing did kind of write itself and did some other original things.
You know, I've not seen those yet. I know there's a couple of them. It's on my ongoing freaking list of things that I need to try to sit down and focus and watch.
All right. 5 movies.
There's 5 of them now?
Well, there's 3 Fear Streets. There's 3 Fear Streets, and it's a trilogy. So they all connect. Watch all 3 of those. Get through the first one. If the first one you're like, there's too much going on here, there's too much ripoff of things that I like, not done as well, get through that first one because there's a lot of mythology that they have to get out of the way before they go to 1978, because that's the second one. And then the third one is 1666.
Okay. But there's 5 of them?
No, there's 3 of those, but I'm giving you 5 movies.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's happening? I spilled the popcorn. What happened?
Pick up all this popcorn. There's 3 Fear Streets, so watch those. Watch Possessor, so that's the 4th movie. And then the 5th one is also on Netflix. Watch A Classic Horror Story, if you haven't seen it yet.
A classic horror story.
It's called A Classic Horror Story, and it's a co-produced Netflix and Italian production company.
Is it in subtitles?
You can watch it dubbed. But okay, I would rather watch subtitle than dubbed.
I have a hard time with both. I have a harder time with subtitles, because for some reason I'll focus more on reading the screen than watching the movie. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't catch what just happened. Like, did I miss something? Like, because I like to watch what's going on in the background, what's going on in the foreground, what's going on with the characters. And when there's subtitles, I'm just like, okay, what is that? Even when it's in English and there's closed captioning, it screws me up. I'm like, can we take it off closed caption, please?
Yeah, watch the dubbed one. The dubbing's not too bad.
Okay. I'll have to check those out for sure. Sorry, I just threw popcorn everywhere. So okay, so I know we went a little bit over time, but that's okay because I've been having fun. So is there anything else you want everybody else? Is there anything else you would like everyone to know about your Kickstarter and your film?
Yeah, again, just go for that Blu-ray. Like, that is going to, a lot of horror fans have that love of physical media. Like, I know as much as I've gotten rid of DVDs over the years, the one genre that I haven't is my horror section. Like, I love my horror DVDs, and then different Blu-rays. And so if you're a fan of physical media and special features, which there's going to be a lot of them, the best way to contribute is to get the Blu-ray option. You'll get a social media shout out and you get your name in the credits. So if you're someone that loves having physical media and you want to watch this indie horror film with your friends, it gets to the credits and then you're like, look right there. That's me. That's my name right there. So you'll have your name in a thing that you always own. That's all I really have to say. And except for, like, even if you're not going to contribute to our movie, maybe share about it and just support as much indie filmmaking as possible, because that is the only way we're going to see new creative minds evolve, and get chances. Like Nia DaCosta, who did Candyman. Now she's the first female Black director that had a #1 movie. And that's amazing. And the next thing she's doing is a Marvel movie, which I don't know if I'd go from.
That's a jump.
Yeah, it's a jump. I mean, it's interesting because they control a lot of decisions that are made in the filmmaking process. So, but that's amazing. Like what Jordan Peele's doing, what Danny McBride and David Gordon Green's doing. Those aren't necessarily indie, but those are people who, David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, Danny McBride
He's
started
hilarious.
he started with The Fistfoot Way, which was this small indie movie that Will Ferrell and Adam McKay happened to just see and bought for distribute. Like,
Oh,
you always want to support these new innovative minds because they're going to be the storytellers of tomorrow. And so maybe take a little time off from funding or helping those reboots and those remakes or fan films. And
Hollywood can support itself. So.
Exactly.
And you never know, like, what if in like 20 years this becomes like a cult classic type film and you have that DVD with that extra exclusive footage on it?
Yeah, and commentary. And that's what I said is like our goal is to make something that's entertaining. As a stand-up, when I do stand-up comedy, my opinion is I don't do it to show people how funny I am. I do it to entertain them. For our movie, we just want to entertain. So best possible scenario is people love it and we get to make more horror movies and they think it's a good horror movie. Second best possible scenario is they think it's funny, like Birdemic or The Room, and it still entertains and has this long life. The worst thing that will happen to this movie is that it'll get made, be seen by a handful of people, and then nothing ever comes of it, and we don't make anything more. So that is why I say support indie film as much as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, you guys, the link will be in the description below. And if you guys stay tuned after this video interview, I'm going to put the campaign trailer at the end of this. Pop, 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 pop. Now I want popcorn, damn it. I'm going to hook up the popcorn maker when I'm done here. Shit. Yeah, if you guys stay tuned after this interview, I'm going to put up the Indiegogo campaign trailer so you guys can take a look at it. And then Kickstarter. Why did I say Indiegogo? Oh, because everybody does freaking Indiegogo anymore. My God.
Because Indiegogo, you get whatever money you raise and you don't have to meet your goal. So it has a little less of the prestige. Kickstarter, you have to meet your goal before you get before you're guaranteed to get those funds.
Oh, is that the difference?
Yeah, Indiegogo takes a little bit more in fees than Kickstarter because you get whatever you raise. And so
okay. Learn something new every day.
The business side of things is my least favorite part of filmmaking.
Yeah, you just want to get to the project, the creation, the art. That is the fun part of it. So
building the house.
Yeah. So yeah, correcting me, which I appreciate because I would have kept saying Indiegogo. I would have been like Indiegogo. Just like that. No, dumbass. It's Kickstarter. So you guys. Well, I'll show you guys the Kickstarter campaign trailer after this. And if you guys are so inclined to support it or to at least share it, the description, it will be in the description below, next to you, above you, wherever you guys will be watching this from. So you guys can head on over there. Yeah, it's like, I feel like we're just in a box right now. That's what it feels like sometimes. Like, I don't know. Because I'll say it's below, and they're like, well, I'm not watching it on there. I'm watching it on this. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know your life.
You are the Rich Little of podcast interview voices. I like your nerdy voices, your Southern lady voices.
Oh, I do a lot. It's weird around my house, and it gets real weird when I'm like a little tipsy. Because then I got real relaxed, and I'm just like, hey.
What lady is that? Like sultry lady of the night? Like, oh, let's drink some Cavassier.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh my God, after this, you want to go get some pumpkin spice and some tacos? I'm like, so. Oh
no, that's right. You are California, so Valley Girl does definitely work.
Oh my God, it's like 82 degrees. I need my Uggs and my cutoffs. It's like gag me with a spoon because I live close to LA. So. Yeah, sorry, I do a lot of weird shit.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna stop now because I'm starting to get warm again. I'm embarrassing myself, so I'm like,
the vapors.
I got the vapors. What is it? I declare. I'm embarrassing myself, so I'm getting kind of like pink faced. So, All right, I'm gonna hush up now. Thank you so much, Ricky, for joining tonight and sharing your project that you have going on. I can't wait to see it when it comes out. It looks amazing. It really does. Even just the quality of the filming, it just looks freaking amazing. And I'm excited to see the story itself too. So
well, thank you.
I wish you the best luck. Go ahead.
I do want to hear. No, I want to hear side. So shoot me a Facebook Messenger once you get a chance to watch the 2 short films, and I want to see what you think of those, just as a horror fan.
Okay, for sure. So I'll do that as soon as I get done with this, or we get done with this, and I make some popcorn. So
yeah, make some popcorn. Watch some horror.
Yeah. There you go. Like, you know. Mm-hmm. I like that. It feels kind of metal. So
so that's from Real Housewives.
I've never seen that show.
Oh my gosh, it's so awful. It's my wife's guilty pleasure trash show. And there's like 50 of them. I call it Real Housewives of Butthole County. Because they're all just shitstorms like of people and of areas. But there was at a reunion where it's like she's like, I see you, and the other woman went, we see each other. It was amazing. So that's why I'm like,
what reminds me of metal, or what, there's some movie where it's like some sleazeball dude and he's like, and like separate, you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen? Like, yeah, but he does it like this, and he's like separate. He's like,
that makes me think of, isn't Marilyn Manson in Jawbreakers?
Is that where it's from?
Is it?
I just know it's some sleazy dude that does it in a movie, and I just cannot place it.
Do you remember what scene I'm talking about in Jawbreakers? Right before Rose McGowan has sex on the girl's bed that they killed by accident.
Yeah. Oh God, he was so like in that movie.
Isn't that Marilyn Manson? Mm-hmm. I think that is. Yeah. For something that comes to mind, if I'm going,
it might
before
be.
They have sex.
It might
I don't know
be.
What that popped in my head. Maybe it's just because that's such a gross thing to do to lubricate your eyebrows.
Like they got wax for that, honey.
Canny.
They got wax for that, honey. We can go get you some. You ain't gotta be licking your fingers and shit. That's nasty. Go wash your hands, dirty bastard. Oh, okay. I'm gonna stop again because I'm embarrassing myself again.
We'll get you a little fan that says any last words on it.
Stop. All right. So the description, a link will be in the description wherever you are watching this from. Stay tuned for the video. Thank you so much, Rishi. Thank you so much, Ricky. Rashida Jones. I love her. She's awesome. Thank you so much for joining and for sharing your beautiful creation. And I can't wait to see it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Do you have any last words, sir?
No last words. Except for watch horror.
Watch horror. Watch horror. All right. Thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you guys next time.
What if the Breakfast Club grew up to be the Big Chill and went camping in a Friday the 13th movie?
Like it or not, we're not going anywhere.
Hi, I'm Ricky Glore.
And I'm Nick Hyance.
And we're the writers and co-directors of the upcoming indie horror film currently in production, All Your Friends Are Dead.
A large portion of the movie has already been filmed with a fantastic cast and contains some gruesome gore, created by our awesome special effects team. But we need your help to get the film completed.
Our minimum goal is $5,000, but we hope to get more than that so we can complete this film in the best way possible.
Your donation and support will go towards production cost, additional scenes, post-production, and some even more gnarly kills not seen in the trailer.
To show you our gratitude, we are offering you 3 perks to choose from. For $20, you're going to get a social media shout-out. For $50, you get that shout-out as well as your name at the end of the credits. And for $80, you get that shout-out, name in the credits, and an exclusive to only 100 copies of a Blu-ray of All Your Friends Are Dead. That's right, you get behind-the-scenes footage, deleted scenes, and a commentary track that will only be on this release of the Blu-ray.
If you don't want or need a perk and just feel like donating, you can do that too.
Please help us reach and surpass our goal and complete the film by donating and sharing this campaign with your friends.
While they're still alive.
What are you doing?
I'm the only person that lives. Why can't I die? Am I a Highlander? All my friends are dead.